Prospecting. Prospecting is the lifeblood and key to success in sales. Daily prospecting is likely sowing seeds every day. This ensures that you can harvest continuously. Sales professionals who get involved in too many activities, including sales representations, either forget or don't have enough time to continuously prospect. That's when problems arise. They go into feast or famine mode, even though it is very hard to sell. When today's prospecting will show results, the process must continue regardless of how busy a person is today or how well they are doing. If they are looking to achieve good results in selling, they must engage in prospecting every day. This is because no matter what happens, there will always be a small percentage of your existing client base that will leave you. Eventually, the business will dry up and at some time point become non-existent. Your inflow and retention of his ratio from mailers. Your inflow and retention of prospects must be greater than the outflow. Only then can you grow. What is the difference between a prospect and a suspect? Generally, for customer goods, most people are suspects, but a few are prospects. How do you identify a prospect or convert convert a suspect into a prospect? A prospect is a person who meets the following three criteria: a need for your product, ability to take a decision, money to buy your product. If any of the one of the above is missing, he is not a prospect. Keep your focus on your target market. Be aware of your target group. Be aware that you cannot sell winter clothes to a warm climate. In selling, a salesperson must identify his prospect based on industry, age, occupation, income, etc. To maintain a constant flow of new prospects, one needs to have a multiple approach, as one method cannot be relied upon exclusively. The salesperson over a period of time will develop their own level of comfort in the prospecting method. Good sales professionals always prioritize their prospects. Sources of new customers: we may get prospects from news media, competitors, industry association membership, referral from partners and existing clients, networking through fraternal organizations, telemarketing, direct selling, advertisement, cold calling, website and blogs, trade shows. Newspapers, magazines, companies, or industrial groups announce promotions of new executives or new CEOs. I remember from my life insurance selling days that some people very successfully used to call the ones who were recently promoted, regardless of the source of prospect. The methods of prospecting remain identical by and large. I shall elaborate a few as follows. Methods of prospecting. Daily mail marketing. I recall in our office when I was selling life insurance, we had one salesperson who was amongst the top producers. His marketing plan was very simple. He consistently sent 10 mailers a day because he knew that 5 days later he would have to make phone calls to follow up. 10 mailers per day cumulatively become 50 mailers a week. That means he made 50 phone calls a week. However, this was only for the first week. The cumulative impact will increase in the next week and even more in the following weeks. Gradually, over a period of time, with proficiency and good telephone handling skills, his ratio from mailers to appointment increased. Eventually, it resulted in making him one of the top salesperson in the company. The above example is a good one for marketing, consistency of follow up, and closing a sale. However, in the above example, if you notice, there was no fancy strategy requiring special skills. The reason for success was commitment, self discipline, and consistency. Above all, I saw a behavior opposite to this. There was another salesman who tried to replicate the top producers. He also started sending 10 mailers a day. He made a very catchy introductory letter. In fact, after a few days, he thought, why do 10 mailers a day? Why not 1,000? He thought his business would multiply significantly, but reverse actually happened. Two major reasons. One was it was a feast or famine. Either he sent too many or too few or none. Number two, there was no follow-up and no consistency in the follow-up. Just look at the difference in the two people. The second salesperson can strategize with best intention but faulty and inconsistent action. 1,000 letters a week without consistent follow-up, died a natural death resulting in a loss. This clarifies that simply having good intention doesn't get business. Good and consistent action brings business. Being organized is important, but it is more important to be persistent and committed. There are people who are not the most organized ones, but are committed and persistent, and this makes them successful. Consistent action is the right direction, produces results. Have a direct marketing planning and tracking system, keeping in mind parameters such as age, income, occupation, location. Decide the frequency and number of mailers to be sent and the enclosures, brochures, demos, CDs, etc. therein. The most important thing is follow up. Without follow up, it is losing proposition. Consistency of follow up is crucial because inconsistency means erratic follow up and will not get desired results. Unless the caller has rehearsed through role play properly, it will generate ill will, forget getting any business. Lastly, always determine how the outcome compared with your expectations. Trade shows. Trade shows can be a tremendous source of business. Professionals who effectively work trade shows keep the following in mind. They define very clear goals as to what they want to accomplish through the show. Is it exposure to a show presence, getting leads to follow up later, close deals on the spot, distribute samples, organize a show especially to generate interest or urgency to buy a product, just collect business cards to get possible qualified data, re-establish contact with your existing customers. So no matter what your objective is, the ultimate aim remains to translate presentations into sales. Here's the approach should be to generate interest and close the sales in as few meetings as possible. At the trade show, be proactive to generate traffic rather than wait for people to come by default. Keep in mind that proactive people do not sell products or services, they sell the benefits. They sell their sizzle, not the sleek. Trade shows are not meant to socialize or chit chat with people, but to establish new contacts with as many people as possible in the shortest possible time to optimize your investment of time and money. Evaluate all the leads generated during the day, translate them into hot, warm, cold leads on the same day, because by the next day you will not remember what is what. This will establish your priority of contacts. Trade shows will be fruitful only if the leads are followed up immediately and professionally. Unfortunately, very few people and organizations do that. The follow-up of leads is crucial. Colonial music's post-colonial worlds and the globalization of world music. Street musicians in the Eastern Europe, early each weekday and Saturday morning, merchants gather in the marketplace of Cluj-Napoca, Romania, to sell their wares, surrounded by the sterile and crumbling cement edifices that make it difficult for Romanians to forget the socialist economy that dominated the nation from the end of World War II until the 1990s. The merchants of the Cluj Mama marketplace sell everything old and new, locally produced and internationally manufactured. There is a patina of pastness and folkloric authenticity that pervades the marketplace. In many booths, sumptuous leather and fur goods are for sale, and cloth goods piled high and hanging in lines stretched from one booth to the next catch the eye because of the colorful needlework that leads one to believe that they are produced by craftspeople from the Carpathian Mountains that dominate central Transylvania, where Cluj is the capital city. The merchants, too, would be described by guidebooks as colorful and folk-like. Obviously, many have arrived for the day from the surrounding villages, only to leave the city later in the day when the market closes. If we take the guidebooks literally, colorful and folk-like might appear to the ethnic and racial differences that abound in the market. At least four languages dominate the discussions about the sale of goods: Romanian, Hungarian, Ruthenian, the Slavic language of the Central Carpathians, which mixes Ukrainian and Slovak in numerous dialects, and Romani, the Indo-European language of the Roma. There's no lingua franca in this marketplace, not even German and English, both of which are also heard. Music is everywhere in the Cluj marketplace, very much a participant in the culture of commerce. Loudspeakers play, and the merchants allow their radios to contribute to the electronic counterpoint. Some merchants have cassettes and CDs for sale, and more than a few offer handcrafted instruments, usually flutes made from wood or clay, but also more elaborate stringed instruments. Musicians ply the aisles, wending their ways through labyrinthine booths. They also use the marketplace as a staging point for forays into the center of Cluj, dominated by a cathedral square and the once proud Baroque architecture of a university city. The music of the streets entered the everyday world of Cluj from its market. The musicians know only too well just where they can set up their portable stages in order to attract the most generous audiences. They know which repertories will best sell to Cluj's many students, and they are sensitive to not making a false step by drawing attention to the long-standing frictions between Romanian and Hungarian-speaking residents. The street musicians are even more aware of the new audiences in the city, the growing numbers of tourists who are visiting Transylvania and Romania since the fall of Ceausescu government in 1990. Eastern Europe entered a period of dizzying transition in the 1990s, and Romania's street musicians were quick to make the most of it. The street music of Cluj-Napoca, its world music, is the most modern sense. It is a global music performed locally. In its juxtaposition and unpredictable mixtures are postmodern. If one looks and listens long enough, one will encounter musical evidence gathered from every part of the world. The street musicians are good at marketing themselves. They are professional, and their stock in trade is a capacity to adapt themselves to the changing currents of a multicultural society. The street music of clothes is also traditional in any sense we might choose to use that term. Many musicians playing on the city streets in the day return to villages at night or on the weekends when they play for dances, weddings, or other rituals that constitute traditional folk culture, whereas many musicians rely on recent technology, say for producing cassettes and CDs of their own. They also play instruments made by local instrument builders. Where else would they find handiwork and tuning prowess to rival that of the local bagpipe builder?